What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to Thrash Reviews, where yours truly, Thrash Maniac 99, continues to review upcoming hard rock and heavy metal albums in the calendar year of 2016. And today I'm going to review something a little bit different. This is closer to a hard rock release, as opposed to most of the albums that I have heard this year, although most people would consider this band to be alternative metal, which I would agree with. But this is the new release from Chicago band Chevelle called The North Corridor. This album came out about 2 weeks ago, and Chevelle is a three-piece band that formed in 1995 out of Chicago, Illinois, and have put out 8 albums. This is their 8th studio release, and this band gets compared to a lot of different bands, such as Godsmack and even Tool, because the frontman of the band, Pete Loeffler, has a very Maynard James Keenan-esque voice to him when it comes to singing. But let's hear what this band has in store for this album. The opening track was called Door to Door Cannibals, and right off the gate, with Pete's voice, you can tell, like I said, he sounds very much like Maynard James Keenan. By the way, when's the new Tool album gonna come out, for God's sake? But that's a whole nother story. But this was a great opening track that kicked things off in a big way. It had these really well-written guitar riffs that I really enjoyed. And like I said, Pete's voice was up front on this album as well as within this track. The drumming was there, but the bass is front and center as well. And usually when you hear most of these kind of bands, the bass isn't always prominent, but the bass was prominent on a track like this. And also the lyrical themes of this song kind of deals with like the idea of cannibalistic serial killers in some way, shape, or form, which is kind of odd for a hard rock / alternative metal band, but hey, it worked. The next track I want to touch base on is Punchline, which is way towards the end of the album. This was probably one of the most interesting songs I've probably heard, that I've heard all year so far. This song was kind of atmospheric, and it had this like electronic, almost industrial kind of sound to it, and it was a very soft track with Pete's voice really kind of takes you through almost like a psychedelic journey in some way, shape, or form with the vocal delivery and as well as the atmosphere of the music. Made for a diverse tune, but let's continue to the next song, Got Burned. This song kind of reminds me of the Awake / Faceless era of Godsmack to some extent. The music sounded very much similar to a Godsmack tune, but in their own way, and it was really well done, if you ask me. But then we get to the final track of the album, Shot from a Cannon, over 8 minutes in length, so this was somewhat proggy to some extent, like they really extended out sections on this song and also repeated sections and kind of happened quickly at times. And it pretty much takes everything you heard from the previous 9 tracks and combine them all into one epic closer. And this is probably gonna, if I were to do a Song of the Year list, this song would be like top 30 if I were to do that list, but I'm not actually going to. But it was a great tune that closed off a very solid release. So overall, Chevelle keeping the old school vibes of alternative metal from, say, the late 90s, early 2000s, and still make it sound relevant, along with other bands such as Disturbed and Godsmack, and even newer bands, Hailstorm, up until their newest release. They kind of went more alternative rock, radio rock, but it's these bands that are keeping this like old school hard rock, alternative metal tradition going forward, even though there are some bands within that I do think sound more metal, like Disturbed and Godsmack to me are metal bands. Chevelle's kind of that borderline band. There's songs that have more of the hard rock appeal to it, and then some songs have the very metal feel to it, and I thought this was a very good combination of the two. And a good balance, and the album flowed together really nicely. Despite a couple of inconsistent tracks, the whole album, top to bottom, was very solid. I would give this an 86 out of 100. For a more hard rock-esque album, this has been a highlight of the year, if you ask me. This album, right now, would be in the top 50 album of the year list, probably at like number 31. Probably. This is a very good release. If you're into more radio-friendly metal, hard rock, definitely check this out. You will not be disappointed. But thank you guys for watching this review. I hope to get a couple more in before tomorrow, because tomorrow's gonna be huge. Good Lord, tomorrow there's 5 big albums coming out. Witherscape, Revocation, Black Crown Initiate, Periphery, and Despised Icon. But anyways, I might do a review or two later in the day of a couple of albums I hadn't checked out yet, like maybe Dark Funeral, Melvins, Lacuna Coil. It all just depends on what I'm in the mood for. But thank you guys for watching. Peace.